Holy Grogu, folks, we're back. The bros watched The Mandalorian, episode 5 for us, season 2, episode 5 for everybody. Chapter 15, The Jedi. We're back. If you haven't watched the episode, like, gigantic, huge spoiler alerts for everybody. So, anyway, Grogu, yes. Ahsoka Tano, yes. And we'll get to it later, but that's someone from that one animated show that they mentioned too. So, anyway, brother, before we get started, I just want to say this. This 46-minute episode was better than the entirety of the sequel trilogy of episode 7, 8, 9.
Absolutely. I've been saying that on Facebook, and like it was more Star Warsy than all three of those episodes put together. Like, just scrap those to start with the Mandalorian, and then just let Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni just go. And like they like write most of the episodes, right? So it's not just that they know how to direct and how to produce and everything. They also are just literally making much better canon and lore than whoever they.
And here's the thing: having Dave Filoni involved is critical to how good this has been, because he knows pretty much everybody has said Filoni knows more about Star Wars than anybody else on the planet. Like, he knows, because he directed and produced. I know he did Clone Wars. I think he did Rebels as well, and so he knows it all. He knows the canon from the books, what they pulled in, what they didn't pull in, what they made official canon, all this stuff. I don't have the slightest. I mean, there's so much stuff out there, like fan type books and fan fiction, and what is all of the books that were. I mean, I used to read some of the books, like even back in junior high, but I don't remember. I don't remember at all what is and isn't canon. We know for sure that the animated shows are, which is why we've gotten that. So, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, if you ever by chance happen to listen to this little podcast, thank you, bless you. Yeah. Keep it going, and whatever next trilogy they plan on, whether they plan to retcon the whole 7, 8, 9, or if they just continue after, which I think at this point, I don't want to retcon, just continue after, and we'll just move ahead with the universe. But they should they should absolutely be in charge of every aspect of whatever other Star Wars movies come down the line.
Yeah, so my gripe with Star Wars is that the universe, the lore, is always far better and far more interesting than what they executed in the main movies. And not the 4, 5, 6. I have no problem with those. Those should like be enshrined, right, never touched, right?
Right.
But like 1, 2, 3, not good execution, and then 7, 8, 9, really bad. Like I watched the last episode, the Last Jedi, and I was just so disgusted that I never saw episode 9. So
I think, and we battle back and forth about this. I actually enjoyed Last Jedi because it was a departure from the Skywalker lore and all this stuff. 1, 2, and 3, I thought the story, I enjoyed getting to see what things were like before we pick up with New Hope. And I think George just got too ambitious. He got a little too full of himself. He tried to film everything digitally. Those were, I think Phantom Menace was the first one to be recorded like completely digitally. And so I think he got too ambitious with trying to make everything look a certain way that kind of the directing aspect of things fell to the side. But I did enjoy getting to see that, which is kind of why I think a lot of people have enjoyed not just animated 2 shows, but also The Mandalorian, is you get to see what else is going on in the world. Like, episodes 1 through 9, we basically just follow the Skywalker family.
Yeah.
Essentially, we just follow the Skywalker family. That's like the core group of people. There's like 20 people over a course of, 60 to 80 years, somewhere in there, whatever the math is on that. So
sounds right.
Yeah, so there's a whole other galaxy out there that we've never really seen. We've never really interacted with. And so getting to see The Mandalorian, I read a really great article yesterday. I should have written down who wrote it, but got to see a really great article yesterday about kind of, the Mandalorian expanding the universe and the lore, but getting to see day-to-day people, like normal people. How did normal people deal with post-rebellion and obviously we haven't seen the rise of the First Order yet, but that kind of vacuum left. That there's certain elements of the Empire that are still trying to fill. The rebels have taken more of a prominent role, kind of policing some areas.
Yeah.
So how do people get along in that area? Anyways, we can do that another time and nerd out for a while. But
and I do want to say just about this episode specifically, like, to get us back on track. The direction and cinematography, the way everything looked and felt in this episode was just fantastic. It starts off with Ahsoka just massacring some like mercenaries or whatever they were, in like this fog-drenched forest. Like, it was just so good and really beautiful episode.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And it gave you that kind of gritty, Ahsoka's been kind of on her own, and you get that kind of grittiness from her and the way it's filmed in the beginning. And also the Mandalorian's always been on his own as well. So, I've tried to think about the episode and find complaints, and I can't even nitpick the smallest thing.
Yeah, I don't think there is anything to nitpick. Just we finally did get Ahsoka confirmed to be Rosario Dawson.
Yeah.
It's been rumored, it's been out there for a while, but we finally get like, oh yeah, it's definitely her.
And she was the one person that they just never confirmed. They wouldn't do it. And I actually like that, because everybody, like, we all basically knew it was going to be her, but we didn't know, right? Because there was no confirmation on who was going to be on the show. Yeah. But so that was great. And I think just seeing Ahsoka live action, I got the hair stood up on my arms for sure.
Yeah, it was great. I don't know how they made the mandibles look so real, like. But they really did. The prop department did amazing there. They did a good job of like giving her movement and making sure that she's not a Jedi anymore, because like the Jedi are pretty much all dead. But she's still acting as a Jedi, and she was intelligent, because when she was in the fog, she kept turning her lightsabers off in between kills, so that she could actually like hide and move around.
Yeah, and you could tell that she was someone who definitely fought in the Clone Wars. She wasn't just like a youngling or anything. Like, she had that battlefield experience. You could see in that scene the battlefield experience paying off. So we find her and the magistrate, obviously. She wants to get some kind of information from the magistrate. We don't really know what that is. She just says, if you want my knowledge, and then Ahsoka says, we'll give you 1 day. I'll be back tomorrow, basically.
Yeah.
Come tomorrow, sundown, I'm coming for that ass.
Yeah. And tonight, you.
That's if anybody gets that reference, well done. So then Mando shows up with Baby Yoda. Still Baby Yoda at this point.
Yep.
And Magistrate has a very, very lovely looking Beskar spear, completely made of Beskar, and says, "Hey, I know your people like this. I know this is like your thing, the Beskar. If you want this spear, go kill the Jedi. Come back, I'll give you the spear." So Mando doesn't really agree to it, doesn't disagree to it. Just says, "I'll be back later," and takes off.
Yeah.
And we all know he's not going to kill the Jedi. We know that's not happening. So he goes out and then... Go ahead. No.
Well, he goes and finds us, and they get into a little tough before he can explain why he's there. And I just want to say that Beskar is extremely overpowered. It is so OP.
It's OP, so OP.
And he blocks it with the gauntlets, and like he essentially just stops lightsabers right there. We've never seen something that just stops them dead in their tracks besides another like weapon.
We'll get to more of that later. And then we get the big reveal, right? He says, I've been tasked with bringing the child to you. I was Bo-Katan told me where to find you. I came and found you. She said you would know what to do. And we get the reveal that Grogu is Baby Yoda's official name. And I love what you said, like, when you texted me, basically like, oh, you want to keep calling him Baby Yoda? Well, here, we're going to give him a real name.
Yeah.
And now you can't call him Baby Yoda. Yeah.
Like, oh, we're going to leave this as a cliffhanger. It just happened in the middle of the scene.
Yeah. But yeah, so then we get to reveal. I mean, this was a big reveal for everybody. So we've seen Baby Yoda, Grogu. We've seen him use Force powers, right? So we know that he can manipulate the Force in some manner. We get to reveal that Grogu was at the Jedi Temple as a youngling, training under Jedi Masters, and somehow somebody got him out of there before Anakin came and wiped out everybody.
Yep.
He killed younglings.
He killed the younglings. Something else I want to say is, well, along with that talk, we eventually find out that Ahsoka does not want to train Grogu.
Correct.
And most likely because he's been through some dark stuff, man. He's been through some dark shit.
Yeah.
So you have like basically being an experiment for a very long time, and he was kidnapped. He lived through the Jedi training when he was just, I mean, he's still a child, so his brain is still very childlike, so he might have fear and anger from that. So Ahsoka's like, yeah, I can't do anything with this.
Well, but she did mention the attachment issue was the biggest issue, right? That Grogu has become Grogu has become too attached to Din Djarin, and so she says, I've seen this before, obviously referencing Anakin and his attachment to Padme and how that turned him to the dark side. So, I mean, that was interesting because we still think of Baby Yoda as a baby. Sorry, Grogu as a baby. But, I mean, in reality, he's, like 50, 60 years old, right? Because
they said he was 50.
We know that Yoda's species ages at a much slower pace. You know, because what was it? Yoda, when he died, it was 500-ish years, somewhere in there, 500 in there?
Yeah.
In that number. So we know that they age much slower. So, you know, he's been, like you said, he's been through the gauntlet a little bit. And this is presumed, this is supposed to be, so after episode 3, this is probably like 30-ish years. Somewhere in there, like 20 to 30 years at the time the Mandalorian's taking place. So this is 6 years after, episode 6. Is what I've seen. This is 6 years after.
Okay. So we have like a final time.
Right. I mean, I guess that's what I've seen on the timeline videos and stuff I've watched. So this is what, between 20 and 30 years after the fall of the Jedi Temple. And like you said, he's been El Pollo Loco had him as a test experiment for a while, and Moff Gideon, for those of you who didn't get the Breaking Bad reference. And so then, we get the team up, and they say, okay, we're going to go take out the magistrate. And
boy, do we get a team up. I really enjoyed that. Just
a great...
This thing is the best episode they've had. It's so well put together. The team up was great. Like, the fighting was great. We do see that Mando is still a badass. Like, he pops the one droid, the HK-87 droid or whatever, that was on the roof.
Bam! Right.
Just one shot. Yeah, he was great. Then we had a good fight with Ahsoka and the magistrate, and we find out that Beskar sphere is still pretty OP.
Beskar is super OP because you can't cut it in half with a lightsaber. And that was awesome. I love seeing that. And that whole fight scene was great, Yep. And but she didn't really use any Force powers.
Yeah.
It was really like straight. It was really like straight lightsaber fight. Like, hey, you could easily just Force push her away. But she doesn't do any of that. So I don't know. Maybe we'll get a little more backstory to that. I don't know. I don't know. But obviously Mando and Ahsoka win. I think that they were just going for like the Ronin like samurai fight.
Sure. Because they had essentially like a bamboo garden with the magistrate, right? So I think that's just what and they even filmed it from like the lower up angle. I think that's just what they wanted to show instead of having Force powers in the fight.
So we got another good cameo, and I don't know if you know who this was. I had to look it up because I knew the guy's face. So the guy who played Lang, the magistrate's right hand man, I could not place the face. I was like, it looks super familiar. Do you know who it was? Do you know who it was? And I'm not going to get his last name right. His name's Michael Biehn or Bain or Bian. But do you know who he was?
E-H-N.
Yeah, you know who he was. Bro, he's John Connor. He's old. He's older John Connor in Terminator.
Yeah. All right.
Or not John Connor. His dad.
Kyle Reese.
Yeah, Reese. That's it.
Okay.
Wow, I got my universes mixed up here. Yeah, Kyle Reese. He plays Kyle Reese, and then of course he's in Judgment Day for a little bit too. I think.
Yeah, I had seen him and I saw his name and I was like, I feel like I know that, but
I went back and looked at his acting resume. He was in Aliens too.
Yeah.
He was in Aliens, which I didn't remember, but once I looked at it, I was like, yeah.
He was the dude that got it infected in the third Aliens, like
yeah, he was in the second one and then came back in the third for a little bit. Yeah. And so I just thought that was, I mean, they've done such a nice job, like, you know, throwing in all these cameos and things, and so I just thought that was really neat. It wasn't like a massive reveal or anything, but just always, we know that they always throw the cameos in there. And so, yeah, so then the last big reveal here, right? Ahsoka says, I'm not going to train Grogu, but there might be Jedi who will.
Yeah.
And she says
there's some of us still left.
She does say that there's we can get into this on a different podcast too, but I've always said, and I'm not the only one by any means, but I've always said after Order 66 there had to be more than like a Jedi who survived.
Yeah.
There, of course, some of them got away, or some of them may not have even been with the clones at the time, so they couldn't be turned on. Like, you know, there's just so many possibilities for there to still be Jedi. And maybe one of those Jedi went off and trained, you know, kind of like Obi-Wan does with Luke in New Hope, where he starts training them. You know, that had to happen. It had to happen somewhere else. So, anyway, I've always known that there was Jedi out there. Now we know for sure that there are some Jedi who survived 66. And
it kind of seems like Ahsoka doesn't even know where they are. Like, she's just like, I know there are some, but I don't know where they are.
What I got from that is, this is what I took away from it, is that they said, you know, maybe they were together or they connected originally after 66. You know, everybody had survived. Because we know Yoda goes back and changes the message, the coded message, to tell everybody to stay away, right? So, at some point, they all got together. And then probably decided it was best for them to not really have any contact. So Ahsoka probably met the survivors at some point, or at least had some kind of contact with them, and it's been 15, 20 years since any of them have really been in touch.
Yeah. Especially like with the planet that she's on, it's clear that she's still in hiding. She's doing what good she can, because like that's what she knows. But yeah, there's definitely like that sense that they're just kind of spread throughout the galaxy.
Yeah, and then the last little bit is that she says, you know, take Grogu to the temple, the ancient Jedi temple, on I can't remember the name. But so this is a separate Jedi temple from Luke's temple in the end of Force Awakens and all of Last Jedi. So if you put Grogu there and he connects to the Force, he could possibly connect with any Jedi because this is like a strong focal point, like a ley line type intersection type thing. So put Grogu there. If there's anybody around, he'll connect with them through the temple.
Yeah.
And I did think there was also a point where she kind of says like he's forgotten a lot of his powers. So Grogu has to be pretty powerful, right? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him flip the equivalent of a rhino.
Right.
So.
So I want to see like Baby Yoda unleashed, you know.
Yeah.
But that's it. So we'll see. I'm sure that's going to be the rest of this season. I don't think he's going to get right there in episode 6 when we've still got 2 after that. So he's not going to go right to the temple right away.
Yeah.
I think maybe.
You know, he's going to have to do some more. Din is going to have to do some more tasks for people because that's how it always is. It's like,
so hey, Din,
I'll do this one thing for me, but you got to do this for me.
Right. So Din, here's what I say: Din and Grogu, halfway through episode 7, find the temple. Episode 7 leaves us with him putting Grogu on the thing. Cut to black. Episode 8, we get the kind of impending, like them waiting. I'm sure Moff Gideon's gonna find them somehow, and then Maybe someone shows up, maybe they don't. For sure, Ahsoka's got to come back at the end of episode 8, right? Like, she has to be involved in some way.
Yeah.
Maybe she senses...
She have to, but...
yeah, but I'm thinking maybe she senses... She senses a disturbance or something. And Moff Gideon's closing in, needs to save Grogu. And then we get maybe 1 or 2 other people coming. You know, I don't know, but this was such a good episode. There was so much going on.
Theory. What if they finally explain Snoke as the character? Because, like, he was
maybe
like a devoid villain to me. He was like totally empty. I didn't care about him at all.
Yeah. And I've seen a lot of...
Maybe they explained that in the First Order.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people... You know, originally when Snoke came out, everybody was saying, oh, it's Mace Windu. Like, Mace Windu turned evil after he got thrown out the window. He survived somehow. And here's the thing. We did not see Mace Windu die on screen.
Yeah. That means he's not dead. That's the Hollywood rule.
So, could he be one of the other Jedi?
Yeah, it could be.
Imagine, man, dude,
Jackson come back now.
Dude, if Samuel L. Jackson shows up in The Mandalorian, there will be a collective group of Star Wars fans just absolutely take a dump in their pants.
Which is funny because, given the time period, like, it's about right, isn't it?
It would be pretty close. Like, it's
his age.
Because it's been 20 years, close to 20 years. You know, since episode 3.
Yeah.
When he died.
He might be the sort of like, my fighting days are behind me, but I can still train.
Right. So we'll see. If he shows up, number one, that would be the greatest leak control of all time.
Yeah, I would lose it.
And number 2, I would absolutely take a dump in my pants if Samuel Jackson showed up. So that's it. That's all we got. We ran a little long, but we got the nerd out this time.
One more thing.
My gosh, one more.
With the song, the theme song, they did a remix with flutes at the end of the episode. I don't know if you know that. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay, thank you. That was very important to get to.
Yes.
Yeah, but bro, as always, thanks for joining me. This has been episode 5 of the Bros Watch Mandalorian. This was obviously the recap of the Jedi episode. By the way, Jedi didn't mean Ahsoka, it meant Grogu. And we'll see everybody later. Peace.